This is HIMARS, a weapon system that looks like an ordinary truck but carries enough firepower to severely disrupt large military formations within minutes. It can strike targets 80 kilometers away with pinpoint accuracy, and by the time you hear it coming, it's already too late. Countries have tried to stop it, none have succeeded. So what makes this American rocket launcher so deadly, and why does everyone who faced it learn the same hard lesson? In today's video, we're going to look at what HIMARS actually is, how it works, why it is extremely difficult to locate and neutralize in practice, and what happens when you underestimate it. And by the end, we'll see why this unassuming truck might be the most feared weapon on the modern battlefield. HIMARS stands for High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. On the outside, it's a 6-wheeled military truck with a pod of rockets on the back. Simple enough. But what makes it dangerous isn't the rockets alone, it's how fast it moves and how precisely it strikes. Each launcher carries 6 rockets. These aren't dumb fire and forget weapons. They're guided by GPS, which means they hit what they're aimed at. Standard GM-LRS rockets carry a high explosive payload designed for precision strikes against point targets. With extended range munitions, engagement distances can exceed 250 kilometers, depending on the missile type and operational constraints. The system was designed with one goal in mind: shoot and disappear. A HIMARS crew can roll into position, fire all 6 rockets in under a minute, and be gone before the enemy even knows where the attack came from. The truck reaches speeds of 85 kilometers per hour on paved roads. It doesn't need a crew of dozens or hours of setup time. 3 soldiers can operate it, and because it's mounted on a standard military truck chassis, it can use the same road as civilian vehicles, blending in until it's time to strike. But the real advantage isn't just mobility, it's the targeting system. HIMARS uses GPS-guided rockets, meaning it can hit a building, a bridge, or a parked convoy with accuracy measured in meters, not miles. Traditional artillery shells scattered. HIMARS doesn't. You tell it where to strike, and it strikes there. That precision turns every rocket into a surgical tool instead of a blunt hammer. If you're still watching, you're clearly interested in how modern weapons actually work. So do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. And the next part is where things get really interesting. HIMARS wasn't built to be famous. It entered service with the US military in 2005 as a lighter, more mobile version of the older M270 multiple launch rocket system. The M270 worked, but it was heavy, slow, and needed a tracked vehicle to move. HIMARS significantly reduced the weight and put the whole system on wheels. That meant it could be airlifted by a C-130 transport plane and deployed almost anywhere in the world within hours. For years, it stayed quietly in the background. The US used it in Iraq and Afghanistan, mostly for precision strikes in difficult terrain. It worked well, but never made headlines. Then came 2022. When the war in Ukraine began, United States sent HIMARS to Ukrainian forces as part of a military aid package. At first, Russia didn't take it seriously. That changed fast. Ukrainian forces used HIMARS to destroy ammunition depots, command posts, and supply lines deep behind Russian positions. Strikes that would have required dozens of aircraft or days of planning now happened in minutes. One launcher can take out an entire stockpile of weapons or cripple a logistics hub before Russian forces even realized they were under attack. The result was immediate. Russian forces began losing critical supplies. Reinforcements couldn't reach the front lines. Command centers went dark. And every time Russia thought they had located a HIMARS launcher, it was already gone. The weapon that nobody talked about for 17 years suddenly became the most talked about system in modern warfare. Destroying a HIMARS sounds simple in theory. It's a truck with rockets on it. Just find it and blow it up. Except that's not how it works, because HIMARS doesn't sit still long enough to be targeted. History proves this. During World War II, Nazi Germany launched thousands of B-1 and B-2 rockets at Britain. The British threw everything they had at stopping them. Bombers flew more than 40% of all their missions trying to destroy launch sites. Special reconnaissance units searched for them. Anti-aircraft guns fired endlessly. None of it worked. The rockets kept coming until Allied forces physically occupied the launch areas. The reason? The launchers kept moving. The same thing happened during the Gulf War in 1991. Iraq fired Scud missiles at Israel and Saudi Arabia. The United States flew over 2,500 combat missions to destroy the launchers. British and American special forces combed the desert on foot. Not a single launcher was confirmed destroyed during the entire war. Iraq used mobility, camouflage, and decoys to fool even the most advanced surveillance system of the time. And it worked. HIMARS uses that same principle, but better. It fires, relocates, and hides before anyone can respond. Ukraine has added another layer to this by deploying realistic decoys. Russian forces waste expensive cruise missiles destroying fake launchers while the real ones move to the next firing position. Russian drones spot what looks like HIMARS, call in an airstrike, and hit an empty shell made of wood and metal. Meanwhile, the actual system is 20 kilometers away, ready to fire again. Even when Russian air defenses successfully intercept HIMARS rockets, they can't intercept all of them. Ukraine fires cheaper, less accurate rockets first to force Russian systems to engage. Then, the GPS-guided HIMARS rockets slip through while the defenses reload. It's a tactic that turns Russia's own success into a vulnerability. The pattern is clear. Mobile rocket systems are nearly impossible to stop. You can shoot down some of the rockets, but you can't destroy the launcher unless you catch it in the act, and HIMARS doesn't give you that chance. On New Year's Eve, Russian soldiers gathered at a vocational school in Makivka to celebrate. A large number of troops were present in the building. Russian authorities later confirmed significant casualties, with officially acknowledged figures in the dozens. Some reports put the numbers higher. The strike wasn't random. Ukrainian forces had tracked Russian communications and identified the location. The timing of the strike coincided with a period of high troop concentration. By the time the rockets hit, the HIMARS launcher was already moving to its next position. Russian air defenses shot down 2 of the 6 rockets. The other 4 were enough. The Makivka strike wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern. HIMARS had destroyed ammunition depots holding thousands of artillery shells. Command centers coordinated entire operations, and convoys carrying critical supplies. Each strike follows the same formula: precise intelligence, rapid execution, and immediate relocation. Russia has claimed to have destroyed multiple HIMARS launchers. Ukraine says otherwise. The truth is likely somewhere in between, but the fact remains: HIMARS keeps operating. If Russia had truly neutralized the system, the strikes would have stopped. They haven't. The lesson is simple. Underestimating HIMARS doesn't just cost you a battle, it costs you entire operation. One launcher can do the damage of an entire artillery battalion, and you can't stop it by throwing more firepower at the problem. You either adapt or you lose. HIMARS isn't just a weapon, it's a shift in how wars are fought. Precision, mobility, and speed now matter more than raw firepower. A single truck with a small crew can achieve what used to require squadrons of aircraft or hundreds of artillery pieces. And the side that can't counter it doesn't just lose equipment, they lose the ability to sustain a fight. For Russia, the problem isn't going away. As long as HIMARS remains in Ukrainian hands, supply lines stay vulnerable. Command posts stay at risk, and concentration of troops become liabilities instead of strengths. The only way to stop HIMARS is to win on the ground and capture or destroy the systems directly. Until then, every convoy, every depot, and every gathering of forces exists under the shadow of 6 rockets that could arrive at any moment. And that's the real lesson here. In modern warfare, you don't need to be the biggest or the loudest to be the most dangerous. You just need to be faster, smarter, and impossible to pin down. HIMARS proves that, and anyone who forgets it pays the price. If this video showed you something you didn't know before, hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because understanding how the modern battlefield actually works might just be more important than you think.